1.
Part 1. In this video, I will define pay equity, pay inequity, and give a historical perspective on equal pay, and discuss why the Paycheck Fairness Act was passed. Pay equity, pay fairness, is equal pay for work of equal value regardless of a person's race, age, or gender. Pay inequity, pay unfairness, is unequal pay for work of equal value depending on a person's race, age, or gender. White non-Hispanic men earn more money than white non-Hispanic women, women of color, and men of color while doing the same work, adhering to the same work standards and rules, and reporting to the same manager. Historical perspective. On June 10, 1963, President John Fitzgerald Kennedy signs the Equal Pay Act into law. At this time, white non-Hispanic women earn 59 cents per every dollar earned by a white non-Hispanic man. No income statistics were available for racial minority men or women. Today, white non-Hispanic women earn on average 78 cents per every dollar earned by white non-Hispanic men. African American women earn on average 63 cents per every dollar earned by white men, non-Hispanic. Hispanic non-white women earn on average 54 cents per every dollar earned by white non-Hispanic men. Why the Paycheck Fairness Act must pass. Passing the Paycheck Fairness Act would ensure that all Americans will, including white, non-Hispanic women, women of color, and men of color, have an equal opportunity of living the American dream. In 1997, the Paycheck Fairness Act was first introduced by House Representative Rosa DeLauro. In 2009, the Paycheck Fairness Act passed in the House of Representatives since Democrats controlled the House, but has failed the House once Republicans seized control. Senate Republicans blocked this bill for the fourth time on September 15, 2014. These charts show two pay structures for white non-Hispanic women and men, Asian women and men, African American women and men, and Hispanic non-white women and men. This graphic displays how the federal government compiles wage data based on race. Asian women and men are disproportionately more educated than white non-Hispanic women and men, African American women and men, and Hispanic non-white women and men. Therefore, the federal government chart displays Asian women and men earning more than white non-Hispanic women and men, and women and men of color. This graphic displays how corporations pay employees based on race. I'm speaking about employees that are similarly situated, doing the same work, adhering to the same work standards and rules, and reporting to the same manager. White non-Hispanic women and men earn more than Asian women and men. Asian women and men earn more than African American women and men. African American women and men earn more than Hispanic non-white women and men. Why do white non-Hispanic women of color, and men of color earn less than white non-Hispanic men? America is controlled by patriarchal white non-Hispanic male races. White supremacy has been maintained for hundreds of years due to employing a racial hierarchy. Under this hierarchy, races are divided based on white man's views of their value. In addition, white supremacy is maintained by denying equal pay, equal opportunity for growth, training, and development to women and minorities. In essence, white non-Hispanic men receive higher wages and opportunities for growth, training, and development for the purpose of maintaining their superiority among women and other racial groups. Also, paying lower wages to white non-Hispanic women, women of color, and men of color will increase corporate profit margin, decrease the amount of money spent on employees, and keep minorities at the lower rung of the societal ladder. Of course, there are always exceptions to this rule. There will always be a place for tokens, privileged minorities. However, tokenism is just the beginning, not the means to the end. White non-Hispanic people are deemed more valuable than minorities. Therefore, they earn more money than minorities. women are deemed less valuable than men. Therefore, men earn more money than women. Younger people are deemed more valuable than older people. Therefore, younger people earn more money than older people. A person's earnings should be based on education, experience, and skills, not on their age, race, or gender. Pay hierarchy used by corporations. 1. White non-Hispanic men are deemed more valuable than white non-Hispanic women, women of color, and men of color. 2. White non-Hispanic women are deemed more valuable than women and men of color. 3. Asian women and men are deemed more valuable than African American women and men. 4. African American women and men are deemed more valuable than Hispanic non-white women and men. No. The pay gap between women of color and their men of color is small compared to women of color and white men. This graphic illustrates the corporate hierarchy for paying employees based on race. You see a white, non-Hispanic woman near the top of the ladder, an Asian woman beneath the white, non-Hispanic woman, an African American woman beneath the Asian woman, and a Hispanic, non-white woman is beneath the African American woman at the lower rung of the societal ladder. On the other side of this ladder are men. The white non-Hispanic man is near the top of the ladder. An Asian man is beneath the white non-Hispanic man. An African American man is beneath the Asian man. A Hispanic non-white man is beneath the African American man and at the lower rung of the societal ladder. My aunt attempts to climb the corporate ladder of success to applying for positions of increasing responsibilities and obtaining an advanced engineering degrees. Also, she equates being denied these positions of increasing responsibilities and being kicked by her employer and saying, "Get back down to the lower rung where you belong." To every woman and man of voting age, I need you to write to your federal House representative and senators, urging them to vote on this act that would resolve pay inequity in our country. The Paycheck Fairness Act, PFA, would make it easier for women to sue their employer. Presently, the burden of proof is on the employee. If the PFA passes, the burden of proof is on the employer. Also, this act would prohibit an employer for retaliation if an employee inquires, discusses, or discloses the wages of another employee in response to a complaint or charge. Presently, employees can be punished if he or she discloses his or her salary or other salaries. And this act would make employers who violate the law liable for unlimited compensatory and punitive damages. Presently, there is a limit on compensatory and punitive damages. This act would authorize the Secretary of Labor to make grants available to eligible businesses for negotiation skills training programs for girls and women. For more benefits of this act, please go to www.empoweringthrough-advocacy.com. Many conservatives will say that women are underpaid because they do not go into higher paying fields such as engineering and medicine. They take time off to have children and they do not negotiate their salaries. My aunt has always negotiated her salary and was always told that the company did not have enough money in their budget to pay her. My aunt has three engineering degrees. My aunt has 3 engineering degrees and had children before becoming an engineer. Also, conservatives will say that passing the Paycheck Fairness Act would hurt businesses. How would passing the Paycheck Fairness Act hurt businesses? My aunt believes that women receiving a lower salary has more to do with collusion than lack of negotiation. This concludes part 1 of Pay Inequity. Stay tuned for part 2. Part 2. In this video, I will narrate and use graphics to tell my aunt's story on pay inequity, how it has affected her life, and why it is important to pass the Paycheck Fairness Act. You will learn what happened when my aunt questioned her former employer about pay inequity, lack of training, development, promotional opportunities, and growth. Lastly, after viewing all 4 videos, you will be able to answer whether or not my aunt has lived the American dream. I would like to give you a brief synopsis of my aunt's story. As a teen, she always dreamed of becoming an engineer, but life choices delayed her dream. After being laid off from the factory, my aunt decided to go to college after a 10-year absence from high school. At this time, my aunt was divorced and had 2 minor children. She received public assistance while raising her children and pursuing a Bachelor's of Science degree in electrical engineering. In 1995, my aunt was hired by one of the largest automotive manufacturers and received an annual salary of $36,355.68. In 1997, she received a Master's of Science degree in electrical engineering and earned an annual salary of $46,844.26. During this time, a white male coworker told her how much other white engineers earned in early 1998. My aunt visited an African American financial planner who was dismayed to learn that her salary was below market for an engineer. She spoke with her manager, director, and group vice president about lack of training, development, promotion opportunities, and growth. In addition, she spoke about pay inequity and being blacklisted. Her complaints were not resolved but ignored. Later this year, my aunt's manager told the group that the company had decided to sell the division. As months passed, employees left for other companies, but many went to other jobs within this company. However, my aunt had applied for 90 engineering jobs and never received a desired position. One day, an African American engineer told my aunt about an African American director that may help her secure a position within his department. After meeting with the director, she was hired. My aunt worked for him for 1 year, then transferred to an engineering organization with the same company. After working for the new group for 1 year, the manager did not promote my aunt, despite her possessing a master's degree in electrical engineering with 5 years of experience. In March 2000, my aunt met with her human resource representative. She complained to the representative about never being promoted, despite receiving evaluations ranging from excellent to very good, never obtaining positions with increasing responsibilities, and earning below market rate for years. In June 2000, my aunt was promoted to senior project engineer and received a raise of nearly 10% after being promoted. Her market rate increased to $74,520 annually. However, my aunt earned an annual salary of $56,204. For the next few months, she met with the manager, director, and group vice president. Again, her complaints were ignored. My aunt decided to write a report titled Workplace Discrimination: An Employee's Experience, Perspective, and Determination to seek Equality. This report was 14 pages, single-spaced, including 15 exhibits, and sent to the president and CEO, a vice president, chairman, vice chairman, 3 board of directors, head of legal department, and 2 members of the NAACP. Within 6 months of sending this 14-page single-spaced report, my aunt was illegally terminated from her job. She sued her former employer in both state and federal district courts. Both cases were dismissed. My aunt appealed in both state and federal appellate courts. Both appellate cases were dismissed. She spent over $27,000 on these cases. Since my aunt's cases were dismissed, her former employer was entitled to over $14,000, originally $19,000, in legal fees. My aunt offered to pay her former employer $100 per month until this debt was paid. In addition, my aunt paid her attorney $300 per month for costs. Without warning, my aunt's wages were garnished by her former employer at the rate of 20%. She had to file for bankruptcy, which has left her penniless. Then and now, my aunt lives beneath the pale of the American dream. The following graphics will give you my aunt's account of what happened behind the scenes after she mailed the report to the president and CEO and other higher-ranking corporate executives. In American companies, African Americans and Hispanics, non-white, are at the lower rung of the ladder. This fact equates to their low salaries, lack of training, mentoring, developing, and fewer promotion opportunities. Keeping African Americans and Hispanics, non-white, at the lower rung of the societal ladder exists within the federal government as well as the private sector. This is my aunt writing the report to the president and CEO. Here is my aunt mailing the report to the president and CEO and other higher-ranking corporate executives. This is the president and CEO as he angrily reads the report. This is the president and CEO angrily calls the chief of legal affairs. The chief of legal affairs answers the president's call. This is what was said. Hello, this is the president. Hello, Mr. President. We have a problem. What is the problem? A woman sent me a report about not receiving pay equity and being denied opportunities to advance. I need you to take care of it immediately. Consider the problem solved. The Chief of Legal Affairs calls the Head of Human Resources Global Executive. Head of Human Resources Global Executive answering the Chief of Legal Affairs calls. This is what was said. Hello, this is the Chief of Legal Affairs. Hello, Chief. I needed to handle a problem. What is the problem? A woman in powertrain sent Mr. President a report about not receiving pay equity. We cannot allow an employee to poison the minds of naive employees. This woman needs to be put in her place. Who is this woman? An African American woman over 40. We need someone of her demographics to handle this problem. I know of 2 women who are enjoying this type of assignment. Can I consider the problem resolved? Yes. Head of Human Resources Global Executive angrily calling the Powertrain Human Resource Executive Director. The Powertrain Human Resource Executive Director answering the Head of Human Resources Global Executive's call. This is what was said. Hello, this is the Human Resource Global Executive. Hello, Global Executive. I need you and your director to handle a woman who is causing problems for the president and the company. What is the problem? This woman wrote a 14-page report to the president and CEO about not receiving pay equity and being denied opportunities to advance. Who is this woman? She works under your director in the electrical analysis group. I will take care of her. Some people are never satisfied. She works for a good company. Who cares if she has not received pay equity? Goodbye. Goodbye. Powertrain Human Resource Executive Director angrily calling Powertrain Human Resource Director. Powertrain Human Resource Director angrily answering the Powertrain Human Resource Executive Director's call. This is what was said. Hello, did you receive my email? Yes, I will call a meeting with her tomorrow. I need you to handle this problem. I know and I will. Powertrain Human Resource Director calls the president to say that the matter has been resolved because the troublemaker, my aunt, would be fired. The director mentioned to the president that a manager told her that my aunt was stirring trouble and poisoning the minds of the people in her group by telling them she was underpaid. I will send her an email regarding this matter. My aunt reads an email from the Powertrain Human Resource Director outlining the terms of her illegal termination and thinks about what was discussed in their emails. This is what was said. It has been brought to my attention that you wrote a report to the president CEO of the company and God. I did not write to God. However, if you give me God's email, I will write to him. Since this company is at will, we are offering you a $49,000 severance package. By accepting this package would mean you must give up your right to sue. No, I will not accept $49,000. I will accept $4.9 million. I have not received pay equity in 6.5 years. This company denied me 90 desirable engineering opportunities. I am being fired because I wrote to the president and CEO by utilizing their open door policy. We will not offer you a penny more. You can keep your money and use it for your legal fees. My aunt and her attorney discussing the outcome of both cases in state and federal courts. This is what was said. I would like to sue this company for discrimination based on race, age, gender, but not limited to retaliation. What happened? After 6 years of receiving pay inequity and being denied 90 desirable engineering opportunities to advance, I wrote a 14-page, single-spaced report with 15 exhibits to the president and CEO. I was fired by my African American Human Resources Director, who was a woman over 40 years of age. My Human Resources representative is a white woman under 40 years of age. I see. The company wanted an African American woman over 40 years of age, like yourself, to terminate your employment. The company did not want it to look like discrimination because both of you are African American. I will sue this company in both state and federal courts. In summary, I would like to restate that my aunt sued her former employer in both state and federal courts. Her cases were dismissed in both courts. She appealed in both courts, and both cases were dismissed in appellate courts. Her attorney was paid $25,000 to appeal both cases and $2,000 in costs. The state judge awarded my aunt's former employer over $14,000 in legal fees. She offered to pay her former employer $100 per month until the debt was paid in full. The company would not accept $100 per month. Instead, they decided to garnish my aunt's wages without notice, which forced her to file Chapter 13 bankruptcy. When she retires in 5 years, her economic losses will total over $1 million in salary and benefits. My aunt wrote to 36 members of the Senate urging for passage of the Paycheck Fairness Act. Today, the Paycheck Fairness Act has failed the House of Representatives and Senate. Pay inequity is illegal, immoral, and wrong. This illustration equates pay inequity to an employer robbing a woman of her earnings each time she cashes her check. This is what was said. Give me your money. Why are you robbing me Why are you robbing me every paycheck, Mr. Employer? I worked hard to feed my family and pay bills. I am divorced with 2 children. At this rate, I will never be able to pursue the American dream. It is simple. You are a lower valued employee. If people like you were paid equally, you would flood suburbs and make people like me feel uncomfortable. If you continue to rob me of my earnings, I will sue you. Ha ha! You will lose because the White House, Senate, House of Representatives, state courts, federal courts, and the Supreme Court all have my back. Each of these government agencies filled my aunt and every working woman. Oakland County Circuit Court, Michigan Court of Appeals, 6th District Eastern Division, the United States Senate, the United States House of Representatives, and the White House. My aunt blames corporations, judges, and members of Congress for allowing women's salaries to swim in the cesspool of injustice. Members of Congress write laws with loopholes to impede a woman's chance of winning pay discrimination lawsuits. Judges find loopholes in the law left by members of Congress for the purpose of ruling against women. Lastly, corporate executives responsible for awarding lower salaries to women are guilty of pay discrimination. This concludes part 2 on pay inequity. Stay tuned for part 3. In this video, I will show you how pay inequity has affected my aunt's standard of living. I want you to decide if she has lived the American dream or the American nightmare. Recall, she has 3 engineering degrees and earned an average salary of $47,000 over 18 years. Let's go on a tour of her American neighborhood.
You're looking at a vacant field that's adjacent to my garage. As you can see, the field is full of weeds and the grass. This field has been vacant for over 25 years. That's how long a house has been on this property. Next to the vacant field is an empty house. The house has been empty since 2012. At this time, the city of Detroit boarded up the home. But in 2014, vandals removed the boards looking for valuables left behind. After the neighbors left in 2012, I kept this grass cut for about a year. But it occurred to me, if I keep the grass short, it's more likely the vandals can climb the fence to get on top of my garage and gain access to my backyard. So I stopped cutting the grass. You're looking at a vacant lot that's been vacant for 25 years. Next to the vacant lot is another home that's abandoned. And this vacant lot is adjacent to my former neighbor's home. Let's take a closer look. This is debris outside of her garage, as well as debris inside the garage. You can see her backyard full of debris. Fence is falling down. This is the fence. About another month, it will be completely on the sidewalk. Take a closer look. As you can see, the windows are broken. This is the back of the home. Here's another look at the backyard of the home. And again, this is directly across the street from my home in my American neighborhood. The door is open. This house has been vacant since January 3rd, 2014. The city of Detroit could not afford to board up this home because of bankruptcy. Now that they're out of bankruptcy, we'll see what happens. This is my house. As you can see, I live in a gated community, whichever way you like to look at it. Tall fence with a foot of barbed wire. So this house sits directly across from my home. This is the front of the home. And we'll look at some more homes. You're looking at a home that has been vacant since 2005. As you can see, many windows have been taken, broken out. The home is left open and abandoned. It was once boarded, but vandals removed the boards, looking for valuables left behind. As you can see, behind this property is another vacant house. Been vacant for a number of years. You'll find debris along the stretch. Believe it or not, once a month I would clean up the debris, but it's got to be too much work. Across the street is another house. And this house is across the street from my home. With the garage open. You can see every window was removed from this home, but it remained boarded. And again, this is my home. This home is diagonally across from my home. And this home is directly across from my home. Let's look at some more homes. This is the front of the house you were just looking at. And this is what I have to look at. This is my American neighborhood. This vacant lot has been vacant since 2012. The city tore down the house. The house next door has been vacant since about 2007. The one next door to it is vacant. As you can see, half of my block is unoccupied. This house sits directly next door to my home. This is my home. This is a house that sits directly next door. It's been vacant since September 15th, 2000. Someone did purchase the house. The house was brought up to code. No one has ever lived in a home. I guess the owner lost the home. Vandals soon came in and stripped the home of all the valuables. Then in 2014, as you can see, vandals took the board off the door. Let's take a closer look. This house is open. It's right next door to me. I keep this grass cut. I'm often concerned about someone, coming from inside the home. So as you see the board that cover the entrance, I just wedged it to the fence. So if they jump out while I'm cutting the grass, they will have to jump over the board. This is the ground. That's the height of the board. Let's look at the backyard. Yeah, it's a mess. Debris, wheat. So, the earlier video, my niece asked if I lived the American dream or American nightmare. Answer the question. You see where I live. Let me recap. I have 3 engineering degrees from an accredited university. I worked as an engineer for over 18 years. I earned an average salary of over $47,000. So, am I living the American dream? Have I lived the American dream? Or am I living the American nightmare? For each of you watching these videos, I want you to answer one question. How would you like living the way I live? Please support the Paycheck Fairness Act by writing to your federal House representative and your federal senator.
Part 4. In conclusion, pay inequity occurs when men earn more money than women, while doing the same work, adhering to the same work standards and rules, and reporting to the same manager. On June 10, 1963, President Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act into law. In 2016, the Equal Pay Act will turn 53 years old. Today, women have not achieved pay equity, even though the United States government passed laws to protect women from pay inequity. Our government pays women less than men. This is hypocrisy at its worst. Let me explain. The United States government passes equal pay legislation to protect women from corporations who pay women less than men. However, the United States government violates legislation it passes by paying women less than men. Statistics can be found in the report by the Merit System Protection Board titled Fair and Impartial Treatment, Progress Made and Challenges Remaining. Our government should lead corporations by setting a good example. Pay women equal to men. Also, pay minorities equal to whites. Someone said that America has the best government that money can buy. I understand this statement. Corporations contribute money to elected officials' campaign. In return, our elected officials pass legislation to benefit corporations. This is why corporations are allowed to pay women less than men. To all women and men of voting age, we must band together to end pay inequity. In September 2015, the Institute of Women's Policy Research indicated that women will receive pay equity in 2048. In 2048, I will be 45 years old. If I begin working at age 18, I will earn less than men for 27 years. From this point forward, I will do everything in my power to ensure that all women will receive pay equity before 2048. The state of Michigan ranks 42 out of 50 states relating to pay inequity. See AAUW report, The Fight for Pay Equity and Federal Roadmap. There are two solutions to end pay inequity. 1. Pass the Paycheck Fairness and Fair Pay Acts, Senate Bill S. 862, and House of Representatives Bill H. 1619. Please write to your federal senators and House representatives urging them to pass these acts. If Congress does not pass the Paycheck Fairness Act, then the alternative is to employ the Women and Minority Subsidy Card. The Women and Minority Subsidy Card would subsidize the salaries of women and minorities. If a woman or man earns 60 cents per dollar earned by a white non-Hispanic man, then this person would receive a 40% rate reduction on all legal goods and services in the United States. For example, an African American woman earns 63 cents per every dollar earned by a white non-Hispanic man. She desires to purchase a home costing $100,000. Since she earns 37% less than a white non-Hispanic man, then the house would be reduced by the 37% difference between what she earned compared to a white non-Hispanic man's earnings. $100,000 minus $37,000 equals $63,000. In essence, the $100,000 home would cost my aunt $63,000, while the white man would pay $100,000 for the cost of this home. To learn more about the Women and Minority Subsidy Card, go to www.empoweringthroughodvocacy.com. To view statistics on salaries among men and women of various racial groups, go to United States Department of Labor website at www.usdol.gov. Commentary. To the companies that underpaid my aunt while working as an engineer, give her the money that you stole. My aunt has owned her home for over 38 years. Her area was once thriving, and now it is deplorable, as you saw in the third video, part 3. I would like for her to live the American dream before she dies. In this election year, we need a president who will ensure that passage of the Paycheck Fairness Act is their top priority. When corporations are allowed to pay women and minorities a lower salary, the lives of their women and their families are badly affected. It is illegal and moral wrong for women and minorities to pay women and minorities less money for reasons out of their control.
Hello, I am her aunt, and this is my story. I want to urge each of you to write to your federal senators and House of Representatives, urging them to pass the Paycheck Fairness Act. I am especially appealing to white women. I need your support more because you are married to or related to white men who continuously allow women and minority salaries to swim in the cesspool of injustice. These men are judges, members of Congress, and corporate executives. Let's work together to do what is morally right. Thank you. Niece, I love you, and thanks for telling my story.
You are welcome, Auntie, and I love you too.